like to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the full board for the School District of Waukesha on June 10th, 2015. What a wonderful summer evening. Thank you for joining us tonight on such a beautiful night. I thought most people would want to be out playing right now and enjoying this wonderful weather we're having. So thank you for being here.
So should we go play, Joe?
Pardon?
So we should go play?
Yeah, we should go play. I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
Why don't we all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Sue, will you please take the roll?
William Baumgart.
Here.
Barbara Brzee.
Here.
Steve Edlin.
Here.
Ellen Langell.
Here.
Patricia Madden.
Here.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Here.
Kurt O'Brien. Karen Reinacek. Joseph Como.
Here. Kurt had notified me that he was going to have an international business call that started at 6 tonight. So he hopes to be joining us by no later than 7:30, hopefully. So. And Sue, has the meeting been properly posted?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. We're going to start off the evening with bright lights. We do have two bright lights presentations tonight. The first will be Les Paul Middle School. 7th graders are going to talk about their passion project. And second, we'll also have the Sodexo Future Chefs present bright lights also. So we'll start with the Les Paul Middle School 7th grade passion project.
Hi, I'm Ann Zindler. I'm here with my partner, Jamie Wagner, and we engaged the kids this year in an inquiry-based research project that we wanted or hoped would be really literacy-rich, and we hoped that it would be very inclusive, expansive. We brought in the entire 7th grade to do this project, and our other goal was that the kids would make a connection between what I read and what I study and what I do now and how that can inform my future passions and my future interests. So we brought 4 kids with us today. They're going to just give you a synopsis of what they did. They presented these on a presentation night in April to our parent community, and they spoke for long minutes, like probably 15-minute talks to their community members about the research they did, the writing they worked on, their action steps that they took, primary source research that they did, interviews, social experiments, and so on. So they're just going to kind of nutshell that and kind of introduce themselves to you, and feel free to ask them any questions you might have.
I'm Jake Sadak, and for my passion project, I did alternative energy. Sorry, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
That's okay.
So, alternative energy, the reason I chose this was because I had originally wanted to do something that would help a lot of people. At first, I was going to do something just to help people in like developing countries, but then I sort of thought, why not do something to help everyone? So I built this shoe, and yeah, doesn't sound like much, but as you walk, it generates electricity, and then you can plug in any USB device, and it will supply power to that. I learned quite a bit from doing this. One of these is that I learned that a lot of small electronics pieces are very cheap. So are a lot of other products. And those products can be used for twice their actual potential to help people all over the world. And that's my passion project. So.
Very good.
Thank you, Jake.
Good. Very good.
Does he have one that he
think we'll save the questions till the end. We'll let all
Sure.
4 students go with their presentations first.
Hi, my name is Rihanna Chavla, and I did my passion project on journalism. And ever since I was a lot younger than I am now, I've always been interested in writing and being an author. And once it came to deciding what we wanted to do for our passion project, I thought that journalism would be something really cool to do, and that's why I picked journalism. And for my action plan, I was able to actually go down to the TMJ4 studios in Milwaukee and job shadow, the anchors and see how everything worked there, how it was to do television broadcasting. And I really like how much journalism can influence people's decisions and thoughts, and it doesn't all have to be just television based. There's also newspapers, and I thought that was really cool. So,
Thank you, Rhiannon.
I did my passion project on the psychology behind fear, and I've always kind of been interested in psychology, but fear not so much. But there's been a series that's been really popular among kids my age lately called the Divergent series, and it has a lot to do with fear, and the characters have to go through fear landscapes where they have to face their fears, and I was kind of interested in how this works and if this was, even a possible thing. So after I did my research on, what fear actually is and how it works, I did a couple social experiments. The first one, I had a slideshow full of a couple pictures, and I tested other kids to see how fast they found a threat like a picture of a threat in an environment or something totally normal in an environment. And I found that you tend to find a threat faster than you would something else, which was really interesting. And then the other thing that I did was I had pictures of things that would just startle kids around a classroom, and I interviewed them to see, how they reacted. And through these things, I was able to test how fear kind of works and kind of put my own information behind the research that I did, which was really cool.
Hi, I'm Madison Edens, and my project was about veterinary medicine. I've been volunteering at the animal shelter since I was 6 and doing programs there. So I have a passion for animals, and this project just gave me an opportunity to further explore careers that I'm interested in. So I've never really, I thought about being a vet, but I didn't really know what it took to be a vet. So once I heard about this project, I thought that this would be a really interesting thing to do to further my education in that career. So for my action, I went and I job shadowed a vet in a vet clinic. So I got to see different exams, and I got to ask questions about schooling and found out how competitive and difficult it is. I also, since I've been doing things at the animal shelter for so long, I got to observe a couple surgeries there and talk to the vets there too. So one thing about this project that we really had to learn was all the job shadows we did. We had to plan ourselves, and we had to call people on the phone and make it happen. So it was really interesting, and I think you learned a lot about yourself while we were doing this.
Excellent, thank you. What questions do we have of the students? Mrs. Brusink?
Yes. Well, I was there that night that you did the program, and I was so excited. But I was so pleased that the leadership in your school, your principal, vice principal, was so supportive of this project, and I just was so tickled to see so many variety of interests that you students had. I learned a lot that night. To the young lady that talked about fear, why do you think, or in your research, did you discover why people may have fear of certain animals?
I didn't really come across why people develop certain fears. I learned more about what their reactions were, but I do find that really interesting, and I would consider like looking towards finding that.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Baumgart?
The guy I can't see.
Jake?
Jake, yeah, I couldn't. Jake, what initiated you getting interested in the alternative energy? What stimulated this?
Sorry. Well, before doing this, my grandpa had an interest in electronics and started to teach me a bit of that. And then Mr. Wagner here did a unit on energy and creating power and whatnot in science, and that kind of pushed me to do this.
Very good, thank you.
Dr. Langell?
Hi, I just want to thank you all and congratulate you, and I wish I could have heard the rest of them. And I wondered, 2 questions. Do you want to become a vet now? Yeah. Okay, you said it was open, so you weren't sure. Okay, so that was a good outcome. And then, Jake, I wondered, you held up this shoe and said that how does that work? How does that produce electricity? If you could explain it.
And does
I
it
mean-
come with heels?
I'm working on that. I'm just gonna set that there. Okay. Well, essentially, what I have is a couple of magnets inside a copper tube here, so that when it shakes, it moves the electrons around in the copper tube, which is then transmitted to this full-wave bridge rectifier diode, which basically transfers the positive-negative alternating AC power from
Oh, sure, okay.
this into DC power, direct current, like a battery, which can then be used to charge this capacitor here more effectively. I chose a capacitor over a battery because capacitors charge faster and can hold charge for longer, along with it not ruining the battery every time you recharge it. This then leads through to just your standard four-wire USB port, that's it, which you can then plug in virtually any standard USB plug, and it should be able to supply power to that, so.
That's fabulous.
He's taking donations for his
You bet. Absolutely.
I'll take a look at that.
Mr. Edlund?
I just wanted to thank all of you. You guys were just terrific. You know, for you to at least set your sights on something and pursue it with the passion that you did, and focusing on not just a job, but a career was incredible. You guys did such a great job. Earlier this year, as you know, the board had to make a big decision. And that big decision was if we were going to rename your school Les Paul Middle School. And what I saw tonight was the same passion. This is what I learned when I had to research this decision to change Les Paul, because it was probably, out of all the issues since I've been on this board, it was the most controversial issue that I've come across yet, believe it or not. And what I found was that, you know, I think everybody knows, when Les Paul was a student, he had the same drive and passion that all of you do. And Jake, you were, as you were talking, I'm going, wow, you know, Les Paul, you know, that's how he got to start, was in electronics. You know, he just pursued everybody he could. And you know what I learned? Was that Les Paul, throughout his life, thanked the teachers that taught him. They answered his questions. And that was one of the reasons that I voted yes to rename the school. It wasn't just to put Les Paul's name on the school. It was to show recognition that Les Paul recognized how important his teachers were. So each of you, before school lets out, real quick, make sure you say thank you to your teachers. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Good comment.
Anybody else?
Well, since
Dr.
they
Langell.
go to Les Paul, I'm sure you know, yesterday was his 100th, would have been his 100th. birthday and big celebration last night of his 100th birthday, so very cool.
I just wanted to let Jake know I'll be the first person in line to purchase a pair of those from you. I love the outdoors. I really like to backpack. And one of the cool things about your invention is I can hike a long ways, and at night I can be ready with my flashlight. At the end of the day, I can recharge that. And flashlights are really important part of backpacking, right? I can leave the cell phone behind, and that's part of why I try to get away. But yeah, yeah, really a great idea. But each of the ideas that you have really touch the lives of many people, pets, and getting the truth out there, reporting the truth. How important is that? Wow, what a high impact. And understanding people and their fears. Excellent. And I already talked to you, Jake. So fantastic job, you guys. Keep up the good work, and we wish you luck in the future. We'll move on to our second presentation of Bright Lights, and we're going to learn a little bit about our future chefs.
There you go. I can click on this and it'll go for me. There we go. Okay, earlier this year, it was in March, we ran...
Introduce yourself, Joe.
Huh?
I'm sorry, just introduce. I
Oh,
didn't
I'm sorry.
introduce you.
I'm Joe Miarell. I'm the general manager for food service. I work for Sodexo. I've only been in the district about 4 weeks now, but am enjoying the challenge so far and have a lot of work ahead of me. It's nice to meet you all. I know I've met some of you earlier on a visit last month too. So today, what we're talking about future chefs. What we did is we ran a competition throughout the district. We received 52 recipes submitted from 4th and 5th graders in the district. From there, we pared down to 6 finalists. And what you're seeing before you right now are the 6 finalists. We held the finals over at West High School, and those are all the kids there. I want to take you through some slides real quick. Technical assistance needed. Right one? Got it. Okay, so in the kitchen, when the kids got in there's a couple things we wanted to focus on. Their recipe. The other important parts for us were food safety. Learning the rules and regulations about keeping your area clean, just general kitchen maintenance and things of that nature. You'll see in this case the students working with, we all a mentor. Each student was assigned a mentor in the kitchen as they prepared the item so that they kind of could go along with them and help them through the process, find the ingredients for them, and support them as they were preparing the recipes. Another, this year's challenge was healthy snack, and in previous years it was something else. Hopefully you guys had a chance to get out there and try Aditya's tortilla wrap out there. It's pretty good. Knife skills. So what we're doing with Aditya here is we're showing him knife skills in safety. On his left hand, you'll see there he has a cutting glove. It's something that we do in all of our schools to keep everybody safe. Hand washing and getting gloves on over the top of those big knife safety gloves. One of the finalists prepping his item. Assembly line. The kids prepared enough food for samples that day, not only just their final recipe, but we had participants come in and try their food, and they had a great time doing it. It was a great turnout of people. Here's one of the judges here. I don't know if Aditya is sliding her some money or what's going on there, but there she is. We had the judges volunteered this year. They're former consumer ed teachers within the district, and they were happy about jumping on board and participating with this. So they were going around the kitchen. There they are again. They received a gift from us for their help in supporting the kids and what they were doing today. There's a picture of the team, Paula, Roy, and Ruth, and we had our mascot out there supporting the kids and just doing some fun things. getting some photo ops and just a lot of fun with the kids that way. Owen Baumer is one of the students. I can't remember this recipe, honestly, but it's bananas. So healthy recipes, there were ingredients, whether it be a wrap, black bean, there were certain components of the dish that we were looking for in this competition. There's Aditya and his tortilla wrap. Christina, 3 schools, it was Banting, 3 schools participated. Banting, I can't remember the others, Ruth.
Bethesda and Summitview.
So those 3 schools that submitted the 52 recipes from those 3 schools this year. Rachel Sanders.
Rachel was a return contestant. She participated last year. Participated again.
Do you remember this recipe, Ruth?
That's, Isaiah did a turkey sausage quesadilla. It was a kind of a spicy quesadilla prepared with a spicy version of tomato soup. Tomato soup was one of the extra ingredients that you could get extra points for. It was very good. That's Riley. Riley did an apple cinnamon muffin.
These guys were against the time crunch, just like you would normally be in a kitchen. You have so much time to get ready, and at the end, they're all kind of hustling around, doing the last-minute details, and kind of getting nervous about whether it's going to make the table or not make the table, kind of like what you see on TV a little bit, where they're having fun, and now they realize, oh man, I've got to get this on the table, and I have so much time. So, mentors, these are all the leads and the team from around our the district food service team. They're the ones who came in and worked with the kids and spent some time helping them throughout the kitchen and supporting the kids. The Winner-Tortilla spring roll. That's Aditya's recipe. Aditya's recipe was forwarded on because he was a winner in the Waukesha School District. His recipe was forwarded on to a regional competition. Although Aditya did not win the regional competition, his recipe was selected by a panel of Sodexo chefs. And in regards to that, his recipe was selected as one of the 5 nationally that is going to be put into a database that can be used in upwards of 2,500 schools across the country. His image will also be in the material where he'll be showcased and his recipe will be used. It's going to probably come out in January, and we're sure going to put it on the menu for us and have a little bit of fun with that. We brought Aditya and his family along today because of that award that he just won. He also received a prize package from Sodexo, and we want to give that to him tonight. Come on up, guys. Oh, what?
Aditya's teacher.
Oh, hi, Tina. I did. Sorry, couldn't hear. How are you? Good.
So these are some items that are fit for a budding chef. We have here a set of silicone measuring cups that collapse for easy storage.
Thank you.
A junior cookbook, maybe your skills are beyond this. And then this is very exciting. I had to stop myself from opening this up. You have a Ninja professional blender.
Wow.
You will get this today.
Oh, nice.
So you can see Aditya's big prize package from this event, and now he has some more things there. Would you guys like to ask him any questions? Talk to him? Come on up, Aditya.
Any questions?
Sure, I can.
Dr. Langell?
Congratulations, first of all. What a great accomplishment. Were you influenced by family spices that you grew up with that you liked? Or how did you approach how you were going to create it and season it?
My mom helped me with that. I wasn't really with my family spices. So she helped me with the spices, so that's how I got the seasoning.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mrs. Brezink?
It was delicious, by the way. I enjoyed it. How did you get interested in cooking?
First, all the experiments you can do with cooking, like mix all the ingredients up. And second, you could like make your own stuff and experiment with it, and like see how it tastes. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Okay. Mrs. Reinachek?
Thank you. So do you cook
meals, dinner for your family at home?
Not most of the time, but sometimes when my mom lets me.
Let me just say one more thing. It's hard to let them just kind of have their way in the kitchen. My son wants to be a chef as well, and to watch him like take a cup of sugar and then put like a tablespoon of flour. He was making cake, and you know that probably should be flipped, but to just stand back and let him experiment and see what happens, and that trial and error teaches you something. So, but we have to have a lot of trust, right, to just let them have their way, but that's how you probably are going to figure out what works and what doesn't. And sometimes you will have an idea in your head, and we would think, well, that's not going to work, you know, that would taste terrible. But kids, you know, there's no border, and you guys can just have an idea in your head and put things together that adults wouldn't. And so you did that tonight. It was delicious. I've never had that before, and I think my kids are going to be eating that because they eat the school lunch here. So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? What was the most challenging part of the competition?
The cheese part. So I was like all done with chopping the vegetables. So I had to get it onto the tortilla, and then the cheese, we had the wrong cheese. I needed an Indian paneer cheese, and it wasn't there. It was cottage cheese. So we just used mozzarella cheese.
The recipe you have now has the right cheese in it out here, so we were able to locate it. Where did you find it, Roy? Woodman's. It took us a while to search it out, yeah.
Excellent. Well, congratulations, and I hope many children across the nation enjoy what you created.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We'll move on to our recognitions tonight. Chris Hedstrom, our Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, will have a couple new administrators to introduce us to tonight. Chris?
Thank you. I really like being called the assistant superintendent.
I almost called you the superintendent, but Todd was sitting to the right,
No,
and I looked at him, and I'm like, oops, that's not
No,
right.
I don't want you to make them feel bad. No, I'm good with the assistant super. Yeah. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing to the Board of Education 2 new administrators that you approved last month. The first one is Kristen Higgins, the new assistant principal at North High School. Kristen, would you join me, please? Kristen joins us from her role as an 8th grade science teacher at Templeton Middle School in Pewaukee, and she's very excited to start her work. In fact, she was so excited that one of the things she said is, Chris, how can I get started on getting my certification to be the EE evaluator, effective educator evaluator? So that, I don't know if you know, but that is like an intensive training, and it's online, so it's really self-directed. You have to be really driven to do that. It's not easy. It takes a long time, but she did it already. So
Wow.
I'm pleased to introduce to you Kristen.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say thank you tonight for giving me this tremendous opportunity to be the newest member of the North Star team. I've already had numerous opportunities to work alongside several of the students, staff members, some parents, and the entire admin team of North, and I am just highly impressed by their high level of energy, collaboration, dedication, and I'm just so excited to get started. Cannot wait for July 1st, and I thank you for entrusting me with this huge responsibility in leading North, the students and the staff to even greater levels of academic and professional growth. So thank you.
Welcome to our district, and really, you spoke of the energy and the students at North. It's fantastic. Just the energy you presented tonight, it's a match for sure, so welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, the next administrator I'd like to introduce to you today is someone that many of you already know. Her name is Christina Sprader.
the new assistant principal for Waukesha STEM Academy. Christina, would you join me, please? Many of you know that Christina has worked as a teacher and teacher leader in our school district for several years now, and she has proven herself to be a high performer. And at one time, I think I heard somebody refer to her as a powerhouse. Does that sound right? Yeah. So she's just an awesome individual, and I'm having a lot of fun getting to know her. And she's already participated in some interviewing for other administrative positions that we have coming up in our school district. So we're really glad to have Christina join us. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. My mom is also in education, and she was here a few weeks ago visiting some of the schools, looking at some of the practices that are happening here, taking it back to her school and expanding it there. And while she was here, she started saying, "Do you remember when you were looking for a job in Waukesha? You said, 'I want a job in Waukesha. Why isn't Waukesha hiring?'" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I do remember that." And of course, now I'm here. And the great thing isn't the fact that I said that and then was here, but the amazing opportunities that I've had since I've come here have far exceeded the vision that I had when I even made that statement. So thank you for everything, even beyond this opportunity. But also thank you so much for the opportunity to be the associate principal at STEM. Since I've been to Waukesha, I've learned so much, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my time at STEM. And I've been surrounded by so many great people and so many great leaders like Ryan, who've really helped me to grow, and I'm so excited to continue to grow the STEM Academy. So thank you so much again.
It's people like you that make STEM special and continuing to move that forward, and it's one of the gems of our district. And that was one of the words that Mr. Warren used to use all the time, and we look forward to your leadership in this new capacity. So for you, so welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, appreciate it. We don't have any student representative reports tonight, and we're at the section of our meeting, or the time of our meeting, where we get to hear from our citizens in the community. As it has been past practice, we limit the time to three minutes for each person to speak. At the 2.5-minute mark, Mrs. Brezink will indicate that you have roughly 30 seconds to wind up your comments. We expect all speakers to honor our time limit, refrain from using any inappropriate language in any manner, and be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations may be prohibited from speaking at future Board of Education meetings. We also expect that the audience will be respectful of the speaker and of the Board of Education, refrain from responding with verbal comments, cheering, applause, or other behavior that will detract from the meeting. And also, in order to respect our speakers tonight, if you would please silence your phones at this time, I would appreciate that. We do have 2 speakers that have signed up tonight. We'll begin with Paul Reese.
Jesus Christ.
Hi, I'm Paul Reese. Some 3,000 years ago, King Solomon wrote in Proverbs 27:17, "As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." My daughter's not going to be returning to Waukesha Schools District this fall. I'm going somewhere else. Not because of, but in part, the debate that you had last week about evolution creation and where I come from in this. And the terminology used in here was fact. And these are educators and people here who are well-educated kept using the facts about evolution. The facts lead us to believe this. And the facts about it are this. Theory is not, if it's theory, it's not fact. There's no facts about it. It's evidence is the word maybe you meant to use. I don't know, I can't really speak for you, but the evidence would lead us to believe this, or evidence would be that. But evidence alone is not definitive. I'll give you an example. This is the Bible. How many religions stem from it? It's got the same words in it, but yet different things come out of it from different people. People come bring their life experiences in, and they put it in here. Evidence is not, just because there's evidence of something doesn't mean it's definitive. it leaves up to interpretation. Evolution, you know, Mr. O'Brien almost asked a really good question. A lot of people say, how do you get from a single cell to a human being? The better question is, how do you get the single cell? How do you get life from matter? You know, how do you, this problem of DNA, where does, you know, it's profound. And it's not that I'm against my daughter learning about evolution. I am not against her learning about it. I want her to learn about it because knowledge is a great thing, and she will have to make her own decisions in life. I'm not going to be able to, when she becomes an adult, make these decisions for her. I want her to learn this, but I want her to learn that there are other things. And Mr. Edlund talked about, you know, creationism being taught in school. It's not creationism that I would say being taught, but rather, it's called
Intelligent design.
intelligent design. There it is, and that's that leads you to aliens. Little green men could have done this. You know, intelligent design is not a definitive thing as well. It does not bring religion into thing. It
30
just says
seconds.
that there are problems here, and that something leading that there is evidence that maybe something else did these things. And that's why I'm leaving. It's just I want my daughter to have all things taught to her, not just one opinion. And when people say 99% believe this and 99%, if I were to say something like that, I think Dr. Langell would challenge me and say, where do you get your statistics from? Where do these surveys come from? How do you say, how do you know, where does this come from? Because no one, not 90%, 99% believe in anything. And I believe it was Patton that said, if everyone thinks alike, someone's not thinking. And I don't know, Sue, if you heard last week when you called the roll call, but I could swear I heard a cock crow. Thank you.
Our second speaker that signed up this evening is Mr. Keith Best.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know me, I know a few of the board members here tonight, and for those of you that don't know me, my name is Keith Best. I work as a legislative aide for Representative Scott Allen in the 97th Assembly District in the capital of Madison. Scott has our district is the south side of Waukesha, and just so you're aware of it too, my children attended Saratoga Elementary School. One of them went to Horning and the other went to Central, and then they're both proud graduates of Waukesha South High School. I'm currently the announcer scoreboard operator for Waukesha South High School Black Shirts varsity baseball team, so I'm still involved with the program 12 years after my son graduated. We brought on board an intern for summer to do research on education issues, and I'm here tonight just as an observer so I can work with this intern in our office to probably work on future legislation. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board at this time who didn't sign up? All right, thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to our minute approval at this time. We do have our May 13th, 2015 regular board minutes, and that looks like the only ones that we have to approve.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Okay, is there a second to it?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Brezink. Any discussion, corrections? Okay, Sue, will you please take the roll call?
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Steve Edlund.
Aye.
Patricia Madden. Aye. Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue? We'll move on to our communications reports. We'll start out with our superintendent.
I have a number of them tonight. The first one is from Carolyn Taylor from the Department of Public Instruction, and she is acknowledging Blair Elementary. Blair was selected as a Wisconsin RTI Center School of Merit. Also from Carolyn Taylor, Banting Elementary was selected as a School of Distinction for the Wisconsin RTI Center. And these are all work with the PBIS program. And finally, Horning Middle School was also selected by Wisconsin RTI Center as a School of Distinction for their work with PBIS.
Yeah, when did we start PBIS? Was that
It's
3 or 4
been
years
done
ago?
different times at different schools.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the last 5 years, so,
Okay.
depending on which school
Yeah.
started.
It's
it
good
when.
news.
Yep.
That's good news.
And then I have some letters from Dave Sternick, our Commissioner of the Classic 8. First one, he is congratulating Waukesha North for winning Sportsmanship Award for girls soccer and boys tennis. The second letter from Mr. Sternig is congratulating Waukesha West High School for winning Sportsmanship Award in girls soccer. And the final letter, again from Mr. Sternig, is congratulating Waukesha South High School for winning the Sportsmanship Award for girls soccer, boys golf, and boys tennis. And those are my correspondence.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. And we'll move on to Barbara Brezink with communications update on the Waukesha Education Foundation.
Thank you. Registration for the July 20th Waukesha Education Foundation's Bob Duckett Golf Outing has been very active. The numbers are greater than last year, and we hope to reach our goal of 100 golfers. There is also a dinner-only option for those who would like to support the WEF but do not golf. I encourage board members to join us for the dinner beginning at 5:00 p.m. at the Legend of Merrill Hills. The evening will also include raffle tickets and auction items. Dinner reservations can be made by contacting Kathy Runty, who is the Waukesha Education Foundation Board Chair. We are pleased to announce the 2015 grant awards. There were 22 applicants from various elementary, middle, and high schools. Following the grant committee's review and based on specific criteria, the WEF board approved $17,250 in grant funding for the coming year. The approved grants were submitted by staff from the following schools: Bethesda, Blair, Hillcrest, Summit View, STEM, Harvey Phillip, Horning, North, South, and West. These grants include projects focused on music, ebooks, math, library, space, and literacy. Each provide educational enrichment for our students and demonstrate the innovative ideas our teachers are now able to put into action through the funding of the foundation. Please take time to visit the WEF website to read the details of these projects. Finally, we hope you'll join us October 25th for our celebration of excellence, which will provide a showcase for these amazing grants. This year's event will be held at West High School, and as planning for the event is finalized, I'll share more details over the next few months. Mr. President, that concludes our report.
Thank you, Mrs. Brezink. Moving on to our Safety Committee report given by Bill Bumber.
Yes, thank you. Our Safety Committee met this morning. As always, we reviewed the student and employee accident reports. Nothing unusual to report other than you could readily see the kids are becoming more active as summer approaches. Bumps and bruises.
That's an understatement.
Anyway, we expect it every year, and it's happening, but nothing real serious. Terry Leverins, our school nurse that attends those meetings, reported at last month's meeting that we have had an extremely good year with regard to the health issues, things like pertussis and flus and stuff like that. We came out in very good shape. Glenn Norder then gave us a rundown of the summer projects. Briefly, I'm just going to give a few comments on that. Every school will have some work done this summer as part of the energy performance contract. This covers a wide variety of things which will result in both energy and water savings. There will also be a number of individual school projects that will be conducted, such as flooring, windows, parking, a security upgrade, whatever that particular school is in need of. This summer, we will again have the employees from GE Healthcare doing projects as we have had it in the past with this very positive partnership we have with them. This year, on August 19th, they will be at Banting, Horning, Butler, and South. And a side note that Glenn shared with us, he's expressed his delight with the constant use of our athletic fields that are now artificial turf. They're just constantly under use, and he has not had to water them, obviously, and believes that we have saved on the order of 1 million gallons of water so far this year. Wow. So that's significant. And Waukesha needs to save water. So
the other big thing with the fields is, I don't know if you recall, a year ago, like soccer had to cut out most of their games because we had grass fields and they were always wet and they couldn't play. So all of the events that were scheduled, we got through this year. So
going great guns with them. That's it.
why don't you roll right into
Okay.
the charter school, Bill?
Charter school report, few things as we wind up the school year. The Health Academy and the Engineering Academy, South High School in total. South High was certified in the biomedical science strand of Project Lead the Way, and the engineering strand has also been recertified. These classes are available for Academy students as well as the South High School students. We are excited about this recent certification, and I would tell you quite simply, this is not a rubber stamp certification. I participated in it last go-around, and they dig into everything. So we had very positive reports this year on our certification, and it's good news. AVID program, I wanted to comment on a few things. I visited AVID program last week. I like to do that near the end of the school year and found it, again, amazing. The freshman class when I was there, was engaged in what they refer to as philosophical challenges. So essentially, they read a case, pick a side after they thought about it, and then they debate it back and forth. It's impressive to watch these young people, remember, these are freshmen, tackle this kind of a concept, and it was very well conducted. Then I went on to see the seniors. We need to be proud of what this program means. These 20 to 25 kids have an entirely different perspective than they had 4 years ago when they came in as freshmen. They have grown academically and determined their next step in life. All responded to my question with their plans to pursue additional education, and most of them have a clear idea on what program, what program they're going to participate in. They offered to me and to Tim Joint, who was with me, that they believe they should have some recognition at the graduation similar to the academies. Following up on this request with Todd's agreement, they will be so recognized. They asked, we responded. I think it was very important that these kids recognize. They were very, very open in conversation. They'd never seen me before unless they watch TV. I doubt they do that.
I'm in.
But anyway, they addressed me with some pretty tough questions. Summers, how long we have to go into the summer and things like that. So, good kids, great kids. Going on, the STEM schools. This past Saturday, there were some articles in the Freeman highlighting some of the very positive projects coming out of our STEM schools. I've asked Sue to maybe make copies of those and put them in our Friday packet if you didn't receive it. I also received a report from Chris at Randall STEM, which further exemplifies the worth of our efforts. They hosted a group from China interested in how the STEM program started and grew. Similarly, Jim Murray had visitors from the Chinese Department of Education, which was pretty awesome. These are Jim's words, you'll hear them here. They were blown away and would like to foster a relationship between our sites and their system. There were even conversations about us traveling to China to help consult. Oh. I mean, this is amazing when you think about this, the kind of things we should be taking pride in. A lot of this was arranged through Dr. Matt Gibson. Jim reports that Dr. Gibson was extremely pleased with the visit that they had and will continue to keep the lines of communication open. So it's not going to just be Elmbrook and Kettle Moraine stealing from us, it's going to be China. Anyway, onward, eAchieve. In early April, Rick reported the following. John Schindler and Mustafa Hassan both ranked in the 99.9 percentile out of 40,000 participants at the Math Con competition and have been invited, and this is last month, have been invited to participate in the championships in Chicago on April 25th. Now he is reporting that John took second place in this competition, and Mustafa took 9th place. So we're getting an awful lot of positive there. We're excited to celebrate the graduation of approximately 110 seniors on Sunday, this coming Sunday at 1 p.m. at the Waukesha South Auditorium. And relative incoming enrollment, eAchieve remains high with 34 new elementary students and 189 new secondary students already indicating their desires to attend next year, even though the deadline to notify us of their intentions is still a few weeks away, June 26th. We anticipate these numbers will grow as we get closer and closer to the deadline. In addition, there are about another 50 students who have missed the open enrollment window who have contacted us and indicating they intend to apply on July 1st. And the last one I want to refer to is something new. Earlier this year, you heard plans about a program that we're going to be conducting at North called Inspire. The intent here is to have something for the freshmen that are coming in from programs such as STEM, Flight, and Quest, where we have a relatively unique environment for the kids to learn, very, very personalized, very project-oriented. And the concern was not to put them into high school now and put them back into the traditional classroom environment purely. So they have been working very hard on getting Inspire ready, and it's going to be positive, I'll tell you that. Last week we had a meeting as an advisory committee and discussed numerous things. Plans are going great. There are 47 students already enrolled. Space at North is being rearranged this summer for the September start. So we'll also be hearing about that program periodically. So that concludes my rather lengthy end-of-year report for
End of your
a great
report
school year.
on many of those gems that we have here, Mr. Baumgart.
Gems.
Yeah, thank you for that report and being so thorough and being involved with each of these schools. There's great accomplishments that's happening with each of them. So
Fun stuff.
it's always a fun report to hear. Thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. And Lori, do we have any public gifts tonight to report?
We do. The district has 4 gifts to report this evening. A total of $1,500 was donated to the Waukesha Transition Academy by the Kiwanis Club. This gift will be used to purchase iPads for existing sales students so that they will be able to keep those devices once they've completed the program. A 2000 4-door Saturn was donated to West High School by Mr. and Mrs. Ray Rose, and it will be used as a lab car in the auto class at West. And then eAchieve has 2 gifts to report. They received 2 donations of $1,000 each, one from the Merrick Group and the other from the iNet Marketing. And these donations will be used to offset the costs of the school picnic along with other activities for the students at eAchieve.
Thank you, Lori. When you mentioned the Saturn car, and thank you to the people who made the donations. When you mentioned the Saturn car, I have to just chime in real quick. Tomorrow, I'm driving down to North Carolina in a 1995 Saturn to take my daughter down. It's her $200 Saturn. Take her down to North Carolina, so you all wish me luck on that.
Better get a hold of that kid's shoe.
I might need some of these people from West High School to come along and fix it on our way.
I'll give you my AAA card.
Yeah. Thank you, Lori. We also, tonight, our agenda includes various categories for approval. There were no expulsions for this last month. And at this time, if any board member wishes to have an item set aside for separate consideration, please so indicate at this time. Okay, hearing none, we'll have Steve Edlund present the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this evening, the Human Resources Committee approved of 16 resignations, 5 leaves of absence, and 30 new contracts. The information was provided in your packet, and an addendum was placed on your desk. Additionally, the committee approved of 1 preliminary notice of partial layoff due to reduction in Title I funding. Mr. President, I move that the consent agenda be approved as amended.
Is there a second to that? Seconded by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Okay, Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Steve Edlund.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Barbara Brzink.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. It passes 9-0. Sue?
Mr. President, that concludes this report, but I will have a lot more for you later on.
You do. I know you do. Thank you, Mr. Edlund. Moving on to our superintendent report, Mr. Gray.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations to all our graduating seniors at all 3 of our high schools. I will be at South on Saturday, and I know a number of board members will be around the district at some of our other high schools. I also want to congratulate the parents of these students who had to work pretty hard over the last 13 years to get them to this point. So congratulations to them as well. I'm not sure who will be happier, but in any event, I also want to congratulate and thank Cheryl Geminani. She stepped down as the STEM board president last evening in a ceremony, but she's put in a lot of time over the past 5 and 6 years helping to develop STEM and as part of the STEM governance board. So we thank her for her service. Some other news, Les Paul Middle School will again participate in the NAPE study. That's the National Assessment of Educational Progress, and that compares the U.S. to schools all over the United States as well as to foreign countries as well. So that's a great honor for Les Paul Middle School. And finally, we have an award tonight. It is a WASB award. It is a level 5 award. It is the absolutely highest award that WASB gives, and it's for Mr. William Baumgartner.
All right.
And there's a pin. You need to wear those to board meetings. Level 5 is an accumulation of points, being involved in WASB events and attending WASB conventions and conferences. And again, that is the highest level of award that WASB gives out. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
I've enjoyed it very much.
How many years? 21, Bill?
I'm in 21 right now.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication. And
Right.
yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr.
And that's my
Mr. Gregg.
report.
Now we'll be moving on to our committee reports. We're going to start out with a policy this evening given by Dr. Langell.
Thank you, Mr. Como. Tonight, we have 2 action items and 1 discussion item. The first action item you can see on your agenda, and you have it in your packet, is revision to policy 5117G, guidelines for school attendance areas and in-district transfers. This proposed change creates a limit of 1 in-district transfer per school year. This is the second presentation of this policy, and I move for approval of this revision, or these 2 revisions.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Second by Barbara Zink. Discussion. Okay, looks like we'll call the roll call vote. Sue?
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brazing.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue? Dr. Langell?
Thank you. Our second action item is new policy 5140, student use of service animals. And our district does not actually currently have a policy regarding service animals. We need to be proactive, so we're requesting this new policy, as you have it in your folder, be added as service animals for individuals with disabilities, and this is required by law. I move for approval of this policy as presented.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by, I saw Mrs. Reinacek raise her hand
I
first,
know.
Bill. Discussion? Mr. Edlin?
How did we come up with the, I guess, the rules and regulations for this? Was this a standard form used by other districts, or?
Mr. Cook had put that information together, his office had, but there are standard policies that we can get from WASB, and we usually use those as a starting point, because those are policies that have been reviewed by other school districts as well as other attorneys by other school districts, so they're usually pretty sound, but then we'll make them fit what we need for our district.
Hey, have we ever had a service animal within the school district in the past?
We have, but I mean, it's never been an issue, but we thought we better have the policy in place in case a student does need a service animal and it becomes an issue with other students or parents, so.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Cook?
I would just add that after the amendments of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 2009, there was a lot of attention put on service animals in schools, and there's a much broader application. So when we did have a couple of inquiries this past year, we wanted to make sure we had something set in place to help guide us.
Very good, thanks.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay, so we'll take the roll call vote on policy 5140, student use of service animals.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brazing.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Steve Edlin.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue? Dr. Langell?
Thank you. We also have a discussion item, which I will let Joe Cook talk about in a minute, but it's potential. New policy, Section 504. Waukesha does not, at this point, have a Section 504 policy. Since providing that Section 504 accommodation, it's required by law, so it's been suggested that we put a policy in place. We'll bring it forward for action at the July board meeting, but Joe, maybe you could talk a little bit about why we need this and what it is.
Sure, again, with Section 504, just like we would with the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, the stuff that governs special education, we want to identify policies, procedures that we're going to use to identify students, to identify the evaluation procedures, and what really 504 means, so that we have a way of applying appropriate accommodations to students that need it, and being able to clearly articulate that with parents.
Okay. Mrs. Brezink?
Mr. Cook, could you possibly define some 504 disabilities? There always seems to be a misunderstanding, and maybe we need to clear up what it is.
Yeah, 504 is the accommodations protections to individuals who have disabilities. At one time, something as general as what we would have seen in architecture with curb cuts that were put in communities and ramps that you would see in front of schools. What is very general now is something that's standard protocol for us. That would be one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum would be extended time for testing on classroom assessments, all the way up to the ACT, SAT, statewide assessments, and it would be based, an area perhaps that, you know, you could generalize that to would be a student who has attention deficit disorder that would need extra time due to the focus issues that they would have.
Thank you.
That's a pretty broad spectrum there.
Very.
It is.
And misunderstood.
Thank you. Our June Policy Committee meeting, which was to be on the 16th, has been canceled. That's a week when a lot of people couldn't make it, from administrators up and down. So our next meeting will be on July 14th at 5 p.m., and that completes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Langell.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to Technology Committee, given by Patrick McCaffrey.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Technology Committee of the Waukesha Board of Education met on Tuesday, May 26, 2015. There were no action or information items, but we did have 2 discussion items. Everybody should have received this in their packet. We received a summary of the year, basically. The 2 of the major projects for the year were, of course, Waukesha 1, which has been an ongoing project for 2+ years right now. The final wave will be distributed in fall of 2015. There's 2 schools left, and then the initial rollout will be completed. We will then be investigating how to continue the initiative and device renewals moving forward. We also received an update on the Infinite Campus system, which is our student information system. Student schedules, the milestone that we hit this year at that is student schedules were delivered actually for next year before the end of school this year, which is huge for staffing and for the scheduling of students, extracurricular activities and whatnot. So this is the first year that we've had actually been able to get the schedules out before the end of the preceding school year. So that was big in the technology department. The second discussion item that we had was proposed projects coming up for next year. There's a couple on there. They're all very large. The first one is a federated ID system. What that is basically an all-encompassing identification system, which will monitor door access, copy and print environments, bus rider tracking, which is one of the things that students First Student offers, right? First Student can offer us. Food service and library science services will also be included in there. Basically, it will allow us to monitor who's in and out of the buildings, where the riders on our buses are when they enter the bus, when they leave the bus.
Great.
We'll be able to track the library services that we provide for students, and we'll be able to offer copy and print environments, which will allow us to better utilize the equipment that we have in our district. We also are looking at some video surveillance upgrades. Right now, our video surveillance is minimal at best. So we are looking at that to integrate with the federated ID system, our new phone system, the alarms, and it will also be accessible by law enforcement in the area. They will be able to get into it if needed, if there is an emergency situation. Data management is another thing that's on the list. We are looking at Wise-Local, which is a system which will allow us to better segregate and manipulate our local data outside of the statewide database. And we're also looking at a program or a piece of software called Click, which will allow us to better analyze our business solutions within the district. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
These are discussion items, so.
Yes?
Mrs. Reincheck.
Thank you. Can you explain more about the copy print?
Sure.
Thank you.
Right now, our system is basically the same kind of system you have at your house. You push print on your computer, and it's going to print at a printer in your building. What the federated ID system will allow us to do is, for instance, say that an administrator is at this building, and they're going to West, and they need the documents at West. They can actually have that printed at West, and it'd be waiting for them when they get there. So, for instance, in the morning at their house, they can hit print and determine what printer in the district it prints to. And then when they arrive at West, it'll be there.
But right now, in the schools, the teachers can hit print from their computer and
Yeah.
still pick it up downstairs. They don't have
Yes.
to stand by the machine.
Right.
Okay, so it'll be,
But basically what it does is it hits the print command will hit our servers, and we will send it out to whatever printer in the district, any printer in the district we want it to print at.
thank you.
Mrs. Brusing?
Thank you.
What this, I'm sorry, Mr.
Go ahead.
Ms. Brady. What this will allow us to do, what happens a lot, is someone will print something, and then it'll just sit at the printer and never gets picked up. Costs us a lot of money, so this will better, manage that sort of issue.
It'll show us who didn't pick that up.
Yeah, we will know who didn't pick it, yes.
Mrs. Brusing?
Mr. McCaffrey, does this system keep a record of what was printed or
Mhm.
not?
Yes, because it'll hit our servers.
It
There's a
does.
record
Great.
of what's printed right now.
There is.
On any of the multi-function printers that
On
we
any
have, it's
printer
all
in the-
stored on there.
Great.
This will actually all be in one location, because right
Great.
now, a multi-function printer is at different locations. Now it'll be all centrally located.
Great. That's great.
Yeah.
Mr. Cohen?
Yes, Dr. Langell.
Just to follow up, is what I think you're saying, so let me make sure I understand. On our set of printers, any staff member can direct it to printer X, Y, or Z.
Yep.
And that printer will print it for him or her.
Yes.
And also keep track of who requested that print.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good?
Yep.
Thank you.
Mrs. Brusing?
Is the who part, that's a good question, Dr. Langell.
Yeah.
The who part is because you have to have a number to use the
Yeah, that's
printer,
true.
right?
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, I
You
remember
need
that, you had to have a number.
You need a specific
Yeah.
ID to access our printers.
So
Yep.
that gives you an ID.
Yes.
But our computers at home don't store that information that we send, do they?
Yeah, it'll have to hit the servers here. Oh, you mean if you're
Yeah.
printing at your personal equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It does store
it
it?
does, oh, yeah. It does, not on our system, it
No,
doesn't.
no.
But yeah, no,
Just that- Interesting.
your print history is actually on your,
Your history of everything you
Your
do
computer.
is on your computer,
Well, I
whether
don't-
you
I
know it
don't-
or
yes.
not.
I don't do anything in it.
It's all on there. Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
By the way, this isn't new. Xerox machines were all individually coded way
Yep.
back when. So when you made a copy on a Xerox machine, they knew where that copy was made.
Yes, they did.
Back in the 70s.
Yep.
So.
But you used to have to enter it in right there.
No, it's actually, it's on the drum.
But you couldn't do it as remotely.
What I'm
Now
saying
you
is that
can.
if you
No,
made a
I'm
copy
just
and you
saying.
shipped that copy out and the FBI wanted to know where it was made, it's embedded into,
Yeah,
back in the 70s. So.
Yes.
yep.
Mrs. Reincheck?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, if we were to watch this video 5 years from now, this will all seem like, so ancient.
Yeah,
but
well, yeah, it will.
It's great now.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of a number of years ago, we did have a discussion before we started our Waukesha One project as to what the longevity of the devices
Right.
would be.
Yep.
What are the thoughts? I mean, we had a few different discussions that have happened over the years. Where is that discussion now?
The pilot program, which actually started at West, Principal Towers started it 3 years ago with staff devices.
Mhm.
Those staff devices were actually changed out this year after 3 years. We're looking at about a 3-year life
Okay.
expectancy, where we'll be rolling it over. Those devices will not be thrown out. They will be used elsewhere for other purposes in the district. But it's right now, it's a 3-year, especially for staff devices, because the technology changes so rapidly on a staff device.
On the staff device, but for the students, are we also looking at
Students-
3 years, or?
Yeah, we're looking at a 3-year, originally it was a 3-year refresh program. They will be monitoring that to see if we can get 4 years out of the devices.
Okay, so we're
But
not
originally it
quite
was a
sure
3-year.
yet?
What's that?
We're not quite sure on the 4 years yet?
No, we're not sure yet. We'll have
Okay.
to see. And you can never be really truly sure, because as technology changes, as updates are available for the devices, if Apple decides not to, allow certain devices to be updated, we will have to replace them.
So once they're retired from Waukesha One program, what were some of the other uses that we thought we could potentially use them for?
We could use them as the Library of Sciences.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I mean, I have Apple devices right now that I can no longer update, that they just do not go past the ones that I have some right now that stop at 6, the iOS 6. So, and they're at 8 right now. So on some of my devices at home, my children's devices are 2. They're 2 behind. And that happens. Planned obsolescence is what they call it.
Any other question? Oh, Mrs. Brzezinski, I'm sorry.
We own those, don't we?
We own the devices. The devices are ours at the end of the lease. Yes.
No, I can understand that the life of those computers isn't real long, because I have one at home, and mine is like falling apart, and I've only had it a year or two. Of course, I use it every day, but I'm thinking of, young students who probably aren't always the most careful with them, although they try, they still, and I can understand that.
Yeah, we've been exceptionally lucky on our breakage rate. It's extremely low. Actually, we had purchased insurance for our devices for
Yes, yes, you have.
a lot of the ways we decided to self-insure because we were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on insurance that was not, we weren't getting any return on our investment. So we're actually self-insured right now and saving quite a bit of money.
Good.
Year over year on the insurance.
And by self-insured, we just buy extra ones, right? And just
Yeah,
put
yeah,
them
well,
out.
yeah. That's
They break
yeah.
and we put them
We're
out.
covering the cost of any, breakage. The students are charged.
Yeah, right. There is some charge if they can.
$25.
But, I mean, you have to get the money from them, but you have to replace that device before,
And I believe there's an escalation clause of the breakage, correct? So if
Yeah.
a student breaks one the first time, it's a certain
It's a
dollar
certain
amount.
level, yes.
Second time, third time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the
it
pain
goes
increases.
up every time for repeat offenders. Correct.
Good.
Overall, we're still within our budget, though, in all the projections.
We are below budget.
Really?
We are under budget that we originally had budgeted for the Waukesha One.
Great.
Excellent.
Initiative.
Okay. Other questions?
Oh, and I
on
might
any?
add that we are a semester ahead. The last wave was not scheduled to be deployed until the spring semester of 16, so we are actually a semester ahead.
Good.
I think one of the things that really moved that along were people sharing their knowledge, the students and the teachers in those initial waves. They were able to take that knowledge and pass it on to others, and we're training the next wave in line.
right.
And so our hats are off to everybody who helped really make that move forward faster and be in a position where
Yeah.
we're a semester ahead.
I think it was important that the tech department, knew what to do with that information that they got from the initial waves and how to manipulate it so that it would be a lot smoother on the waves as going forward.
It was all about empowering and engaging the individual users from a staff and student perspective, and not building up a big technical support staff
Right.
here at Lindholm,
Yes.
which at first we were a little leery if that was going to work, but it sounds like it's worked fabulously.
Yeah, it's worked very good. We have a lot of in-building specialists that have been trained through the PD portion of the district. Definitely.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. McCaffrey to take back to his committee? All right.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey. We'll move on with our Finance and Facilities report given by Mr. O'Brien.
Well, this time I don't have to worry about outlasting the previous report.
I was trying to help you out there, Kurt.
Yeah, thank you. We have on the agenda, there were three action items, well, actually 2 action items. There was agendized for 3, and we have 2. First action item is approval of participation in the Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance contract. The committee reviewed the proposed contract for participation in the Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance for the 2015-2016 school year in the amount of $3,000 annually. The Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance provides legislative counsel regarding matters of mutual interest of other districts in our region on constitutional and legislative decisions related to issues that affect schools. The level of services being recommended is the first option in the agreement provided in your packet. The committee approved the resolution of the district's participation in the Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance for the 2015-16 school year in the amount of $3,000, and I so move.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. McCaffrey. Discussion? Mrs. Brezink?
Yes.
I know we've been a part of this for several years, and I know it's been a valuable affiliation for us, but could you just, detail some of the benefits that we get from this? Do we get lobbying out of this?
We do have a lobbyist that we use jointly, and we also have access through Milwaukee's participation with their full-time lobbyists as well. Mainly, that's just to kind of let us know how things are going in the Capitol and give us an idea of what may happen or may not happen. Our influence through the lobbyists is not great, but the main influence we have is by banding together as school districts of common interest. We happen to have common interest here in southeastern Wisconsin that doesn't match up necessarily with WASB and other organizations. So we were a founding member of this organization. We've been very active in the past. I think everything they're still doing today is in line with our, with the way we'd want things to be done. They highlighted a number of things that they've done in the past year. They met with Governor Walker. They met with candidate Burke. They met with the DPI. All these things to bring up issues and concerns that affects the school districts here in southeastern Wisconsin. And I know Mr. Best is here tonight, and I would encourage him to stay in touch with Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance because their interests are generally Waukesha's interests. We're usually pretty closely aligned. Well-informed people. We have an executive director there that has a real passion, has always had a real passion, every director we've had at that organization. And $3,000 is a relatively small expenditure for the return we get out of it.
Right.
Would you agree, Mr. Gray?
Yes, it's, the information we get from Pete Christensen, who's an attorney and lobbyist, is just invaluable. We get that probably before anybody in the state, too. So, I mean, we get that immediately. Strong advocacy by the group. Terry Phillips, who's the executive director, Kettle Moraine board member, excellent as far as
Right.
communicating and helping us advocate with our state legislators.
Wasn't there just a meeting recently that I believe was covered on television and in the
Yeah,
newspapers?
that was at Mequon. That was a subgroup from that.
From that,
went over
that's
that-
what I thought.
that, they planned some speeches and so on.
Dr. Langell?
Thank you. I appreciate the feedback, Kurt and Mr. Gray, but I guess I'm just more curious, and maybe it's something I've missed. When you say I've met with X person, I've met with Governor, I've met with Mary Burke, I mean, that's great. But what I'd kind of like to know more substantively is on what issues and what was the stand you took?
Well, I can tell you
get
recently,
that?
it's state budget, the loss of funding that, some of which has
Sure,
been restored.
sure.
The impact of vouchers,
Mm-hmm.
the special ed vouchers. I mean, the things right now that are impacting all of us within the,
Okay.
within
So
the
you
state budget.
get that feedback. It's,
I will provide information, for example, I will provide information to Terry Phillips, which she'll include in various documents or meet with some of those people to help further our cause. But they take the information directly from the schools, and all these things are pretty much the same issues from district to district, so.
no, that helps, and I think from time to time, just to know where our lobbyist stands and
Yeah.
what he or she is
Yeah.
doing on a certain issue is real helpful, so.
And I do quite a bit of my own. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the many, many letters that I write
Oh,
on that-
absolutely.
on
I
that
do.
particular thing, so.
Yeah, I do.
I like to believe it's made a difference, at least on the recently revised voucher situation where we were gonna lose as much as 178% of our per pupil funding for each voucher. Now that's down. It's using the open enrollment concept, which
Yeah.
is, it's still gonna be tough, but it's not anywhere near the
Yeah.
cost it would have been, so.
No, and you do keep us updated, I'm not complaining, it's just, you know, the funnel of information is.
Right.
Yeah.
I think one other area that this organization's focused on this year is the state report cards, right? And doing the research on that.
Yeah, they've done that, and again, that's one of my things that I've actually gone directly to Tony Evers on some of the issues. As a member of the WASDA board, I get to meet with him a couple of times a year, and I have expressed some things that I would like to see changed in that report card as well.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, just to give a few illustrations, obviously, the Governor Walker and Mary Burke situation was where, they came and presented us, probably to the Alliance, during the campaign. What you see a lot of activity going on is one of the presentations or interactions was with representative from Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce. It's important that the key business lobbyists and business groups and anyone interested in public education knows what we'll be able to accomplish and how these issues impact us, the school districts. And because of the size of this organization and the number of students it represents, we do get attention from people like Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce. And I think one of the approaches that we've taken in the last few years, well, since Act 10, I'm sure, is we've tried to be very constructive in our approach with legislators, no matter what their political beliefs or positions are. And we think that a constructive approach is probably a better approach than being critical. Prior to Act 10, there was a big problem with the revenue limits and the fact that our expenditures are mandated higher than our ability to raise our revenue limit. Post Act 10, that hasn't been the same issue. So there's a different set of issues today than there was 15 years ago, but this organization is still needed relative to the issues that affect all of us in the way we're formulated. And we do get attention. And if you look at what happened towards the end of the legislative cycle, I would say State Senator Paul Farrell really stepped up. Once he was running for county executive, he knew exactly what all our issues were, and I think he did carry the flag for us a little bit. He still supported vouchers, and he did his part there, but he also was able to listen to the funding issues, and we're hoping more legislators will step up like that. And now that Paul has moved on to county executive, we're hoping that we'll have others in the area step up and listen to what we have to say and support us in front of at the state level.
All right. Mrs. Brezink?
Who is our lobbyist?
Mr. Christensen?
You
Oh,
are.
you mean for SWA?
Sounds great.
I've been it lately. No,
I know that.
Permanent.
Pete Christensen does it on behalf of the Southwest, or Southeastern Wisconsin Schools Alliance. And then John Forrester represents the School Administrators Alliance, which many, that's OSSA, WASBO, WASDA. So there's really two of them out there right now that are the primary lobbyists for
Thank you.
education.
All right, so let's, Mr. Edlin?
It just kind of struck me as a little odd, but school districts, when we present a referendum, we can't lobby per se. We can only present our position.
Right.
But yet, at the same time, we're able to hire a lobbyist. It almost seems like that's contradictory.
Well, let's be clear, we're not using him as a lobbyist, we're using him more but we do have to use lobbyists at times. One of the things that the legislators require really to get things done is they want the bill written out for them, right? So a lobbyist, if you have a lobbyist employed, they will write out the legislative action, hand it to them, and say, here's what the districts are looking for. There was a time when we wanted money given back to our taxpayers, and we had to use a lobbyist to write the legislation to get that money given back to our taxpayers. It wasn't going to go to the district. I think you guys maybe remember that years ago. But in the end, we had to get a lobbyist to write that legislation to get it back for our taxpayers, not the district. And so that's just kind of the way it works. You need that type of assistance You do bring up a good point. Public schools are restricted in many, many ways, rightfully so, in what they can do relative to lobbying. That's not the same case for the voucher school movement.
Yeah, it just seems.
So I find that a very unlevel playing field myself.
Yeah. It just seems a little odd, only from the standpoint that we're not only using him as an informational source, which I'd understand us paying a fee to, $3,000 for somebody who's going to report on legislative issues to us, but he's out there actually lobbying. And I don't know, I just find that odd.
Well, again, we're not paying, we're paying dues to belong in the organization, and then they contract him, so it's indirect. But the other difference too is in some organizations, I won't mention any, but those lobbyists will come with a check in hand. We can't, none of our people that we have reporting can do that. I mean, they'll come to the legislators with a campaign donation that, of course, we can't even come close to. So we are constrained far more, and so most of the voices of lobbying actually comes from school personnel.
And, another example is, Alliance for School Choice has employed former Speaker Scott Jensen, former Speaker John Gard, former Speaker Jeff Fitzgerald. School districts are never going to be able to do that. So, and we shouldn't, but it is, when you bring this up, it is an unlevel playing field.
Yeah.
Mr. Adlin.
Just as, again, this is a curious thing for me because we're using taxpayers' funds to do this. You're bringing up private organizations. And those are private funds that are raised for people who were in the legislature and now they've chosen different careers. So we're not really using public funds. They aren't using public funds for that.
They are using public funds. That's their goal, to use public funds. That's why they hire those lobbyists, for the purpose of using public funds.
To get public funds?
Yes.
They're using public funds to get the public funds?
If it wasn't a return on their investment, they wouldn't be making that investment. And the return on investment is getting public funds.
All right, thank you.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve participation in the Southeastern Wisconsin School Alliance for the 2015-2016 school year. Sue, take a roll call vote, please.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Barbara Brzink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0, Sue. Kurt?
The second item that's on my list, but wasn't actually acted on, was the approval of sale of MacArthur Road property. We've had a lot of interest in that property. If you notice, I think the real estate market is actually pretty good right now. Almost every sign I see has an accepted offer on it around my area. So we should look forward to possibly having a good chance to sell that property in the future. Third action item was approval of HSA vendor. The committee reviewed the HSA RFP results. The purpose of the RFP is to select a financial institution that is affordable and meets the needs of our employees in establishing and maintaining a health savings account for use of high-deductible health plan. 5 vendors submitted proposals. The selection committee, made up 5 district employees, narrowed it down to 2 vendors, and the committee recommended Educators Credit Union as the district's vendor partner effective 9/1/15. The committee approved Educators Credit Union to be the district's HSA vendor for our high-deductible health plan effective 9/1/15, and I so move.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mrs. Madden. Discussion.
Just real briefly, I mean, it was not really much of a contest. Really, the short-term interest rate was, from Educators Credit Union, was more attractive. And it also takes the administrative burden off of our hands in terms of managing these accounts. So it was a very straightforward, easy process to select. And it was properly graded out, and the administration made sure that they stood hands back and let the teachers actually do the evaluation, or the employees. Because it is their money at the end of the day.
It is the same bidding process that we used for transportation contracts, our food contracts, so on and so forth. So that process seems to be working pretty well. Any other comments? Okay, Sue, will you please take the roll call vote on approving the HSA vendor?
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brzink.
Aye.
And Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0, and that begins September 1st, Lori? Okay. All right, thank you. Kurt?
Information item, there were 4 of them. We have a monthly budget report. The committee received the monthly budget report for the activity for the month of May 2015. $787,707 was reported in the general fund revenue. Starts to wind down this time of year. And $9,917,932 was expended during the month. $236,061 was reported in the special education revenue, and $2,206,923 was expended. Claims against the self-funded health insurance plan are below projections, creating a surplus in the claims payable account. To reduce the available funds to acceptable levels, the district will be issuing a premium holiday this month. That reduces the premium expense for both the districts and employees. The employees will see it in terms of not having the payroll deduction for that month for their health account. Second item was the energy projects update. We had an excellent meeting on that and some great news on that. The committee was updated on the statuses of the facility site improvement projects, including the performance contract issued to Siemens Industries in October 2014. Megan Levy, Director of Local Energy Programs at the State Office of Energy, discussed the METAP program and how they assist government entities like us in managing the performance contract in an owner's representative capacity at no cost to the district. This is a relatively new service available to local government entities, developed to provide the technical assistance to managing a performance contract that is not readily available within the entity. They are in the process of reviewing our contract, the project scope, and design build recommendations, and will be working directly with administration and the Siemens staff to ensure we are getting the best results possible. This is an excellent opportunity, and she actually has a grant that covers the cost, and she's actually looking into making our program a case study. She saw a lot of good things about it, but she also saw some things that she'd probably would do differently. Third item, Field of Mini Dreams update. The committee was updated on the status of the synthetic turf fields financing. The cost of the three fields included in-kind donations was $1,760,958. To date, $956,815 has been collected in donations, advertising rent, plus in-kind donations of $163,000 and pledges of $640,000. 20 field advertising panels have been sold, but there are still 28 advertising panels available for sale across the three fields. Anyone interested in field advertising can contact any high school athletic director or Glenn Norder for more information. Fourth item was our financial projections for 2015-16. The district is still waiting for state budget to be finalized before releasing a preliminary budget. The Joint Finance Committee has approved changes to the original proposed state budget, but the increases in funding still do not bring revenue sources up to the 2014-15 level, and there are provisions that create new expenditures that could be significant. A state budget is anticipated later this month. And when I talk about the financial projections, obviously, I think most of you know there's increased cost, plus the risk of open enrollment for the expansion of the voucher program that will affect us budgetarily. As far as discussion items, there are none. And Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Mr. Adler?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had one observation that I had no idea that we were using 1 million gallons of water per year. And if I heard that statistic right, it was up to this point, or is that like throughout the summer?
It'd have to be throughout the summer. I mean, this time of year, we're not watering. But
Projected, was that then?
it
for-
could be, yeah, yeah.
Well,
But I mean, like, the last summer wasn't so bad. The summer before was really bad, and those fields were watered almost every day.
I think Glenn was going back to last fall, too.
Yeah, that could be.
Because the football fields were in place for the last fall
Yes.
season.
So that, if you combine the three fields that we did along with the Carroll University field,
And CMH also did one.
that's right.
Yeah.
But Carroll didn't do theirs at the same time, did they? Or
No, they're just working
had
on it
theirs
right
already.
now. Yeah, when
They're doing, okay.
they redid their field, but they're also doing Hartle Fields right
So
now.
potentially, we could be saving annually 1.6 million gallons of water a year. That's a huge amount of water, and, this could pay dividends very easily because, as everybody knows, the water issue in Waukesha and the pursuit of Lake Michigan water could add substantially to our water utility bills. And if we're able to avoid that issue, that's a huge benefit to the district. And, the aquifer has been recovering, since the year 2000. It's been steadily increasing, and I'm sure the other states will be taking that into consideration when they review, the actual depth of the aquifer and future water needs. So, I mean, we're playing our part. Water conservation is a big part of the application, and this is really paying off. And again, this could turn into, saving us a lot of money in the long run. So I'm excited about that. I never even thought of the dividends that would be a spinoff from that like that. Thank you.
Dr. Langell?
I just have a concern, and you can probably answer it, Todd, because like anybody, I've been reading a lot about the whole issue with the World Cup. I did not know that the fields in Canada, which have been so destructive to the players' legs, heads, everything, it's the turf over concrete. We don't have the turf
No,
over
ours
concrete.
is over a packed gravel.
That's what I thought, because
Yeah.
somebody called me and
Yeah.
asked, and because they had read about the whole issue with the World Cup, and I said, I don't think so, because that's
But
incredibly
that is the exact
destructive.
reason we did the north and west gym, is because
Right.
that rubber was over
Concrete, and that's
that-
horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it was a packed gravel.
Thank you, that's what I told them, but I want to make sure.
Sure,
I was
Brian?
right. Okay.
Yeah, just briefly, back to the water consumption issue, and this was pointed out during the discussion on the Siemens issue, and the fact that we have a water component in our plan, which this Megan was quite interested in, and she advises that she had a difficult time convincing Debbie Towns that water should be included in this legislation. And she says this actually illustrates why it should be included, because saving water is an environmental benefit. And we're able to demonstrate that. She says, she indicated the elements that we have are quite unique. She says we have water, we have, the LED lighting that's going into the football fields, and then, of course, the major internal mechanical projects, which is the HVAC. So she said the broad scope of things that we do that impacts the overall goals that were intended of the project is good. Some things we're not. Okay, some things we're basically paying for boilers off of that, but 200-year paybacks and stuff like that. But just the fact that we have such a broad-based scope of things that we accomplished with that particular borrow was very intriguing to her, and I'm sure will be part of the case study, and something the legislators should be aware of too, in terms of what was accomplished there.
All right, we'll move on to our third committee report, curriculum instruction given by Barbara Brezink.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last curriculum and instruction meeting was held last week, Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015, at 6 p.m. Tonight, we have a few action items and a discussion item that appears on the agenda for curriculum instruction. First action item is approval of the New World Language course, AP Spanish Literature and Culture. World Languages Coordinator Sharon Tebow presented a new course proposal to the Curriculum Instruction Committee. The course being proposed will provide an extended opportunity for dual language and ELL students. Dual language students will take pre-AP as 8th graders, AP Spanish 5 language as freshmen, and then from 10th to 12th grade, we currently offer no path. The proposed AP Spanish Literature course offers the first opportunity for our dual language graduates and former Spanish-speaking ELL students to pursue beyond Spanish levels 1 through 4 and the currently offered AP Spanish Language and Culture course. On a vote of 5-0, the Curriculum and Instruction Committee moved to approve the new AP Spanish Literature and Culture course beginning in the 2016-17 school year. Mr. President, we now request board approval, and I so move.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mrs. Reinacek. Discussion? All right, Sue, why don't we take the roll call vote on the new AP Spanish Literature and Culture course?
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye.
Okay,
Passes 9-0.
Thank you. The next action item is approval of the new A-Push textbook. Last year, the College Board revised its AP U.S. History course. The new framework focuses on 4 historical thinking skills: chronological reasoning, comparing and contextualizing, crafting historical arguments, and using historical evidence and interpretation of historical sources. Adopting a new textbook and resources will allow teachers to access up-to-date instructional materials to teach to the new framework. On a vote of 5-0, the Curriculum and Instruction Committee approved the new AP United States History textbook, Give Me Liberty, AP edition, beginning in 2015-2016 school year. Mr. President, we now request board approval, and I so move.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion?
I-
Dr. Langell?
As Barb knows, I obviously couldn't, but Barb and I had the opportunity to meet just separately, and we all got a copy of this tome, which is absolutely amazing book by an incredibly respected historian. I've used his stuff. He's amazing. And then, Ryan, I gave you tonight, and I think those are the supplements, which are the documentary supplements that they'll be using, and I guess that'll come forward too, that we also got. Because the emphasis really is on analysis of primary sources, because if you're a historian, which they're asking these students to be, you need to be able to look at a source, look at the time period, look at the background of the writer of that source, and then do an analysis that's really meaningful. So these books are also just excellent. I know it's not part of the motion, but
No,
I
it's
just wanted to
great.
mention it because I was looking at them too. So, and the author is Foner, and he is also the author of the textbook.
So these are a supplement to the book.
Yeah, these are the documentary
Right.
supplements.
Wow,
Right.
great.
Yeah, they're phenomenal. They're really good.
Mr. Baumgart?
Besides what Ellen said, which is all true, this stuff in there was very, very interesting. It does bring out an opportunity for the kids to see some of the things about U.S. history which maybe aren't as pretty as they were in the textbooks that were presented to us when I was at that grade level. So you get to see some very interesting pluses and minuses about the growth of the United States, and it opens up opportunities for discussion of those and to get the kids thinking and maybe even debating internally about how we became whoever we are today. So I thought it was the kind of book that's really going to generate some enthusiasm for sometimes, Ellen, maybe some people don't like history.
Yeah, they all love it.
But this will activate it.
There you go.
Ellen, I think, as part of the,
9% love.
Okay.
part of the discussion, I think that it was positively accepted because it starts so much earlier than history used to start. It starts with, the immigration of the Native Americans from, across the Bering Sea and all of the culture and all of the things that happened during that period. And then it goes all the way up to 1980. So it was really probably one of the most thorough courses I've ever seen. And when we questioned the teacher that was here, she assured us that they were going to cover all the topics in the book.
Yep.
So we were very pleased with that.
Okay. Mrs. Reincheck?
Just wanted to say one little snippet of the girl that was here today, the student that was talking about journalism and how the way you write things and what you say affects how people feel about things. And I just wanted to say, Foner, from what I've read, is a very left-wing liberal. And whether that I've also heard his book is sound, but the way he's going to say things or the way he's going to present things is going to be that way. And so I would hope that throughout the course of the year, they will present another side. That is my whole point about giving the kids the option, giving kids the choices, giving kids different views from different things, and not just one way. And so if this book is also his, that's just the thing that's ringing in my head, is the way these kids are learning it is going to be from the same source, the same author who views it from one way, and I just question things sometimes and why we have to do that.
Dr. Langell?
I understand, I think, what you're saying, but I think that having worked in history, and I know what you're saying about Foner, and I think sometimes academic historians are labeled that way. I'm not sure that's fair as far as he's concerned, because he's pretty moderate as an individual. But there are books that he's written that are theses books. And so he takes a position. In a textbook, the best textbook writers present alternate views, and he does. So in this book, he's very fair. And I don't think you could discern on a certain issue where he stands. I mean, obviously, he's opposed to slavery, but there's just so many questions about leadership and about decisions that Congress made or the president made or, social movements and so forth. He's very neutral and he's very, has a lot of integrity. And he really presents all sides. And that's what the responsibility of a textbook writer is, as opposed to when he writes his other books, which are thesis-based. Do you understand? So I think he's very, very fair.
Is this a thesis-based book?
No. A textbook is what he does very, very well, which is you present a lot of different analyses of what historians might argue. What were the benefits of Reconstruction? What were the problems of Reconstruction? Where did they come from? All of that kind of thing. So he's very, very good, I think, in presenting a lot of, the different sides.
And I didn't read the whole thing. I wish to this summer, but the book that we actually could look over, I was fine with that. It was sound. It was fine. But now this one's coming. I haven't seen it yet, but
These two
Yeah.
that are going around the room weren't approved and aren't approved. They're just examples that Dr.
Support materials that
Langelo's-
probably will come forward, but I just wanted to, because we
Thank
got
you.
them, and I just wanted to bring them in. We'll probably see these again, too. And besides, these are just documents collections. So in that regard, they're really quite neutral. Yeah.
Mr. Crowell? Oh, okay. Mr. O'Brien?
I take your point, Mr. Reinacek. I think it's similar to what we heard earlier tonight from one of our speakers, that everything has to be looked at in context, and what happens quite often, whether it's a political view or whatever, it's easy to mix politics and history when they really shouldn't be mixed in an educational environment. History is history, and politics shouldn't be playing into it per se. But it does, by nature. I remember when I was a young student, Andrew Jackson was considered a wonderful, wonderful president. But if you'd read some of the things that he did, defined Supreme Court orders, forced marches of Native Americans westward against Supreme Court orders, he did a lot of bad things. But that wasn't taught in my history books,
Right.
okay?
Right.
That was, it should be in this one. I mean, you should hear the good and bad about presidents of the past and of the future. There's I saw an excellent documentary on Richard Nixon in his own words there. They tried to cover both the good and the bad of President Nixon. President Nixon did a lot of great things, but he made some serious mistakes. Same thing can be said about any president. I mean, maybe some people would say President Obama makes nothing but bad decisions, but that's just some people's opinion. But that's what we want to teach our children, is to look at both sides. And I don't think you get both sides by presenting two biased viewpoints. You get a biased side and a biased side, and that doesn't really help you study history. So I think it's important to create this type of book, or have these type of books available to our parents and children for them to read, as long as they don't espouse a specific political view.
Any other questions or discussion? So we have a motion on the floor to approve a new AP United States History textbook, Give Me Liberty. Sue, will you take the roll call vote on that?
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Barbara Brusink.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
And Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue? Barb?
Moving forward, thank you all for your input. That was good discussion. Information items. Director of Student Services,
We
Joe.
We have another
One
action.
more, one more action item?
Oh, I'm sorry. Duh. Thank you. One more information item.
We're a team.
Yeah, right.
Actually,
Approval of W4L middle school grading scale. I'm sorry. Following the recommendation and approval of the high school grading scale, the middle school level has followed suit with the same descriptors to report feedback and progress. This proposed scale has been met with great enthusiasm from teachers and parents alike. On a vote of 5-0, the Curriculum Instruction Committee approved the implementation of the new middle school grading scale beginning in the 2015-2016 school year. Mr. President, we now request approval, and I so move.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Mrs. Reinacek?
The only thing I had to say about this at the CNI meeting was that I gave my kids this. I said, what do you guys think? And within 5 seconds, they both said, where's the A+? So there is no A+. A is the highest you can go. But Jody said we can give our kids extra cupcakes or something at home for an A+. I forgot what exactly she said.
Extra kisses.
Mr. Edlin?
Forgive me if I'm not thoroughly understanding something here, but how does this interact with grading for learning?
This is great.
Well, we've kind of eliminated grading for learning, going in a different direction based on the information that we've heard
Scale.
from teachers and parents and so on. So the reason we renamed it is because I think grading for learning had a bad reputation to it, even though the foundation of it was good and the parents liked the foundation of it. Some of the attributes weren't good. So we kind of went in a different direction so people weren't going to be confused about it. But this particular, the high school and the middle school has gone through my parent advisory, has gone through other parent advisory groups, teachers. And so it's basically just renaming it so there is no confusion of what we were doing before.
One of the biggest complaints that I feel that from parents about grading for learning was the lack of homework assignments, and
That was there would never, that was never the case. There was always lots of homework. It's just that because of the no points, there was
Nobody would do it.
potentially no incentive to do it.
Right.
And so the kids would call them and say, I don't have homework, or I don't have homework that counts, and so, okay. But that wasn't the case. You know, and I've talked to many, many teachers, and there's never been less homework. It's just that it was being done for summative purposes, for learning purposes, as opposed to getting points. And that's a shift from a time when you could get a lot of points for doing homework, and you could get a good grade for doing stuff as opposed to learning things. And so that's the shift there. Now there are points, there's additional points, different ways that teachers can use the homework policy to provide that incentive. So that should be going away.
Okay, so we're
But you're right, that was a big complaint.
We're putting more emphasis on the points for homework.
Well, not more than we had recently. There's just an opportunity for teachers to use that differently. You know, we've had many teachers came to me and they said, you know, we've never given points for homework. Math, you know, you're expected to do it. We go through it in class, and if you don't do it, you're not going to score well on the test. And this was before grading for learning ever came about. But because of the issue where you could only give so many points, 10 points or 0 points for homework, the kids weren't seeing the incentive, and apparently they were convincing themselves or convincing parents that they didn't have it or didn't have to do it, and that's where the issue came in.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, just to be clear, yes, grading for learning as it existed prior to Waukesha for learning doesn't exist anymore. Elements of it are there, but in terms of the flexibility given to teachers to assign homework for a grade, it has been increased quite a bit. There wasn't any flexibility under grading for learning. Now there's flexibility relative to how much homework will impact, can be assigned some value to the grade. It's not wide open, but at least it gives the teachers more flexibility within their own choices. So it's not being mandated so much by the district, but they're given flexibility. Whereas grading for learning, it just was a mandated system that didn't seem to work for anyone. The kids, teachers, or parents.
And if I may add, we also returned to a letter grade rather than a number grade. Is that correct?
For the high school level.
Yeah,
right,
for the high school level.
And there is a corresponding letter grade for the middle school.
Right,
but
there is.
It's the verbiage part that's going to be the most important.
Right.
And we did
The
explain that.
explanation, right. And with every reporting period, the explanation will be online along with the
There'll-
grades.
You'll be able to see
Right,
where
what it
that
means.
relates to a letter.
Right.
Correct.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the Waukesha for Learning Middle School grading scale. So will you take that roll call?
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Ellen Landry.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patricia Madden. Aye. Barbara Brzink.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Barb?
Okay, now we move on to the information items. We have a student services update. Director of Student Services, Joe Cook, provided an annual update to the Curriculum Instruction Committee on the services offered to our students. Mr. Cook will be available after the meeting to answer any specific questions about the information that you received in your packet. But I thought the most interesting part of the whole, he had every representative from every possible student service that we provide, correct, Mr. Cook?
Yes, we had our full coordinator team there.
He
present
did,
that day.
and it was just outstanding. They, each one explained in detail how they service students, and it was really outstanding. And another outstanding, interesting thing was that we no longer have segregated classrooms like we used to, where we'd call them LD classrooms or ED classrooms, that it's cross-categorical, and all students are serviced, but they're serviced by a cross-categorical teacher rather than under a special program that would be called LD, even though they may have learning disabilities. So thank you, Mr. Cook, for that. That was a really, really excellent presentation. Do you want to add anything?
The presentation that night was very thorough. I think the only thing that I would add is just a public thank you to the hard work that team has done this year and in the years past. I've been very fortunate coming into a new position to work with such wonderful people, dedicated professionals.
A lot of times unsung heroes, really. So-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the room was full with coordinators and teachers. It was a wonderful discussion. I was very pleased. Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the, did you have a question?
Nigel?
Just a quick one. I
Yes.
just wanted to, and having obviously sadly, very sadly missed that, but I just wanted to thank Joe because I think the write-up, particularly too on our new East alternate school, is just so strong, so positive. With the emphasis on belonging, that just jumped out at me. And even though I'm sorry I didn't hear everybody, I read this very carefully.
That's excellent.
And it's just wonderful. So thank
It
you very
was.
much.
Thank you, Ellen. It was really an excellent presentation, very thorough.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the CNI report, and the next meeting will be August 4th, 2015. We don't meet in July.
Thank you, Mrs. Brezink.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the Human Resources Committee, given by Mr. Edlund.
Thank you, Mr. President. The longest one we've had in a long time. The first item that we have this evening is the employee handbook revision. This is a second reading. That'll be item 8A1. This is a second reading of recommended change to the employee handbook regarding the first day of health insurance benefits for new teaching employees. With the recent change to the health and dental benefit year from July 1st to September 1st, the begin date for new teaching employees will change from the first day of employment to September 1st or the first day of employment after September 1st. The district recently changed the policy year date for the health and dental insurance plans to September 1st through August 31st. In order to avoid enrollment, new teaching employees who typically begin work the last week of August, the recommendation is to change the first date of eligibility for teacher benefits to September 1st, or the first day of work, whichever is later. This will avoid the employee incurring expenses toward a deductible for a very short period of coverage, only to have the deductible reset on September 1st. Most employees are covered by insurance and are generally covered through the end of each month. Therefore, we do not anticipate this to be a hardship for new employees. Section 5, page 20 of the Employee Handbook with revisions was included in your packet. Mr. President, I move to approve the Employee Handbook revision, first day of insurance eligibility, as presented.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? All right, Sue, let's take the roll call vote on that.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brzink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0, Sue. Steve?
Item A2 is Employee Handbook Revision, Co-Curricular and Extra Pay Eligibility. This is the second reading. This is the second reading of an addition to the handbook to clarify the policies and procedures for extra pay and co-curricular assignments, including how to establish a new club or activity. In November 2014, a co-curricular committee was convened to establish provisions for this section to be added to the handbook. The committee reviewed co-curricular policies and stipends among neighboring districts and worked to streamline the process, pay, and establish clear and consistent guidelines. Some of the co-curricular pay was adjusted either up or down in order to align better with prevailing stipends in the area or to attract and retain employees for sporadic work. The intention is that changes would be cost neutral. However, it is recommended that some of the supervisory positions receive a significant increase due to the difficulty in filling these positions. New section, Part 4, Extra Pay Assignments and Co-Curricular Activity Assignments and Pay Levels for Recognized Athletic Activities was included in your packet. Mr. President, I move to approve the Employee Handbook Revision, Co-Curricular and Extra Pay Eligibility as presented.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Ms. Madden. Discussion? Dr. Langell?
Okay, sorry. Mr. Edlin, I appreciate the work, and I know there's a lot of work, and Ms. Edstrom too. And so you probably don't really appreciate anybody like me asking questions like this, but I would just raise it for the future because I'm concerned as I look, particularly at items 16, 17, and 18 on the chart, and I may be misreading it, so please stop me if I am. But it looks to me like somebody who leads the orchestra all year, or the chorus, the choirs, all year, and we have fabulous music, would be rewarded substantially less than perhaps somebody who was like a head basketball coach. Is that true, or am I reading that wrong? Because that's a seasonal thing, as opposed to all year.
Mrs. Hedstrom?
I'm going to ask Lori to chime in if she can
Okay.
recall any better, but when working with these groups, the chorus and orchestra are, it is an all-year
Right.
activity, but the performances and the level of the number of hours that we're expecting people to put in for that is different than for a basketball coach, and that is a stipend in addition to their regular chorus and orchestra salary.
I can add, because I
Yeah.
do know some of the thinking on that. Part of it is the orchestra, much of their work actually occurs during the school day, for which they're, paid for the
Okay.
classes versus the coaches, which that all occurs after,
Okay.
after the school day. Yeah, basketball, for example, might have a practice every night, 20 games. Orchestra may have, a few concerts every year, but a lot of their work actually occurs during
During the
the
day.
school day. So that was,
Okay.
that was one of the differences.
Okay, no, that's real
Yeah,
helpful. 'cause
Whether
I
or not
think-
it's fair or not, I don't know, but I mean, that's how they came up with the
No,
rationale.
that's really
So,
helpful, because as
yeah,
you look at
yeah,
it, it's a little
yeah,
concerning, but I
yeah.
think that makes sense,
yeah.
so.
And I think
appreciate
that's
that.
something that we need to really review every year, because, our band and orchestra is changing. Orchestra certainly is growing rapidly, which is good news, but, we don't want people to feel they're treated unfairly.
Okay,
to do a good
thanks
job.
very much.
Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that this is one of the benefits of Act 10. I mean, before we were kind of locked into compensation rates that didn't make a lot of sense for various positions. And now we can go back and put some sense into it. And we weren't able to do that prior to Act 10. So there's just some things that had to be cleaned up, and this is certainly one of them. So it's nice that we're now cleaning it up.
Mr. Edlin?
One thing that this does for us as a board is it provides a common unified page with all the various stipends and compensations,
Yep.
so that we have a chance to see this as a board and decide if there's something that we feel deserves more compensation or time, or an activity that changes in the scope or participation rate that may require, longer hours to be put in by individuals. So, this is merely just, again, placing it on paper and putting it in employee handbooks. So we'll always have it there, and if we want to make a recommendation as a member of the board, we're certainly welcome to do so and discuss it. By the way, Dr. Langell, I always recommend that anybody who has an opinion on something, please speak up and don't be afraid to do so, because that's what we're here for as a board, to deliberate against one another and come up to a common consensus, whether we all agree or not.
Thank you very much, Mr. Heslin. Thank you. I'll try to remember that.
Ms. Hedstrom, I also wanted to thank you for gathering the data, comparing different districts. That was very helpful, I think, to all of us as we're looking at where we fall in that spectrum. So thank you for that. And there was a little bit of effort behind that. Much appreciated, though. It helped me to really feel comfortable with where we're at. I think we're fair, and I think we're competitive, and I think we're where we want to be. All right,
Okay. I believe I put a motion on the floor to approve the revision.
Yes, to the employee handbook for the co-curricular and extra pay. Sue, will you take the roll call on that?
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Barbara Brazing.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue, Steve?
Thank you. Item A3, approval of the recommended candidate for the position of Director of Special Education. The administration is recommending Patty Hobble for the position of Director of Special Education. Ms. Hobble has demonstrated herself as an excellent special education coordinator who is a sound decision maker and has a tireless work ethic. She has stepped outside of her role during the 2014-15 school year to assist in the transition between Jen Wimmer and Joe Cook, who has worked through not only special education situation, but has stepped into a broader student services role. In all environments, Patty has demonstrated herself as a consummate professional and a leader among student services leaders. Ms. Hobble is currently Waukesha School District Special Education Coordinator. She has been with the district since 1988, serving as a special education coordinator since 2006. Additionally, she is a speech-language pathologist. A confidential recommendation and resume were included in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. I move to approve the appointment of Patricia Hobble to the position of Director of Special Education.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brezink. Discussion? Okay, Sue, let's take the roll call on that.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brazing.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0, and congratulations to Ms. Hubble.
We actually have three portions to item A3, just it isn't really clear on your agenda for that, but I'll go through the next one. It's the approval of three separate contracts, or positions, I should say. The next one is the approval of a recommended candidate for the position of Director of Special Education. We're actually approving three of those positions this evening. The administration is recommending Karen Peterson for the position of Director of Special Education Elementary. Karen believes in and models collaboration, and one of her greatest strengths is her ability to build relationships. She has a strong mission theme, and her decisions reflect the mission of the district. She is also an ongoing learner and engages in continuous professional development that allows her to stay current in the field. Karen Peterson is currently a special education coordinator with the School District of Waukesha. She's been in that role since 1991. Prior to that, Karen was a special education teacher at Bethesda Elementary for 5 years. Karen is also an ad hoc instructor at Carroll University. Karen has a bachelor's degree from UW-Milwaukee in special ed and elementary education. A confidential recommendation resume was included in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. I move to approve the appointment of Karen Peterson to the position of Director of Special Education Elementary.
Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Mrs. Brezing?
Yes, Mr. Cook or Ms. Hedstrom, I see she's got 36 educational leadership credits, which is equal to a master's, but it doesn't say a master's degree.
She does not have a master's degree.
Is that not required
It
for
is
that
required.
position?
It is required. She'll be working under a provisional
Okay,
license,
okay,
and she'll complete that.
Great.
And get that license.
okay. I was just wondering about that. Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
When I see these new appointments, and of course, some of them are replacing prior appointments, and some of it's an expansion, I guess the question I have, and it's not reflected on the individual that's before us, I mean, I'll obviously approve her, I'm sure I will, is what is the system we have within our policies or as a district that decides when we expand administrative staff positions or when we contract administrative staff positions? Do we just leave that to the flexibility of the administration, or is there some way of handling that? I'm not saying I want to change anything, but maybe in the future, maybe I'd want to change something, but I wouldn't necessarily want to change it tonight.
Yeah, one of the things that is very different under the leadership of Mr. Gray compared to the previous superintendent is how we handle a number of things, including budget reductions, how we handle those things. And that's also included in the personnel that we hire. And we really do leave it up to the superintendent and his team to determine what is the appropriate level of human resources that we need in each of the areas.
I don't think the board's ever had a discussion on it, you know, and I think it's something the board should discuss rather, I mean, not that I'm trying to change anything tonight, but sometime or another, we should have a discussion about what our procedures and policies are in this regard. Because it really does create a lot of shifting of resources that could occur without much board involvement. I mean, it just, I think that there should be at least some general understanding. In the private sector, quite often when you add a new position, you have to get approvals. You know, it's not just not suddenly happening, you know. And now, of course, I'm not disagreeing with the ability of Mr. Gray to do these things or that he should have this ability. I'm just thinking it's something the board should have a discussion about someday.
Well, when we add a new position, we do get, well, actually, all these are here for approval, but what has happened in each of our primary departments, you know, we've given the assistant soup the latitude to look at the staffing, to do the job that he or she needs to do, and then they can, you know, work within that staffing level. In this particular case, the plan that Mr. Cook's designed actually will save us money. It's a reduction in costs, and he feels he can address more people with the current structure, because having some of these people as a director, they can now evaluate others, and you know, it's a longer work year for them. They're not bound 190 days. They're here in the summer when we need them, and so on. So we've allowed that to happen, but within the same either number of FTE or the same dollar constraint. So even though we might be adding a new position, it's not costing the district anymore.
Mr. Bryan?
Well, I guess that's exactly my concern, because I'm hearing from the people that are out doing, that they're really overloaded, that they could use more help, and yet we're reducing positions and adding more administrative positions, and that would probably fly counter to what I'm hearing from the staff. Now, we do know we've squeezed this budget a lot, you know, to get dollars out of it, but and I'm not saying I'm against doing what you're doing, but I do think it's something that the board should be cognizant of as we move along, because I'm hearing of a lot of very overworked and stressed out people in this particular field.
We actually did receive a confidential memo, board members did, talking about what Mr. Cook was proposing, I think a week or two ago. And then, Joe, you want to just explain?
I would add, you know, just in this, while it is an addition of 3 administrative positions, one of the areas that we're looking to focus on is increasing a level of building leadership amongst our teachers, moving to a department chairperson's model at the secondary level in our schools, working at the elementary level to develop and foster teacher leadership. And I could go on through the weekly meetings that I've had with the special education coordinators, looking at the work that they're doing, analyzing where they're extremely effective, but then also where there are limitations. And through that conversation over the last 30 some odd weeks, we've identified some of the limitations of work, which if the positions were administrative, they would be able to leverage a little bit more change. In addition to that, we've looked at where we need to work at the school level to increase our level of teacher leaders. And Looking at the expertise that these staff members have, the 9 special education coordinators, those that are going to be returning to school positions are moving into leadership positions in those schools to foster that department concept, to work as problem solving, to look at the expertise that each of the teachers have.
Ms. Hedstrom, did you want to add to that?
Yep.
I believe what you asked about was process, though, and not rationale for this change. And frankly, the process that we used to notify the board of changes is the process that we've used in prior years, where we've shared things with the board and asked them if they had any questions to let us know. We were proceeding accordingly. Now, if the board would like to change that process, we can do that and we can discuss that. And that's perfectly fine to do that sort of thing. This particular restructuring grew out of a budget reduction discussion, and it was kind of a happy solution because we believe that we'll be able to put these highly qualified coordinators into the classroom, be those leaders, and then also provide the administrative leadership that the district needs by creating these administrative positions, and yet save the school district close to $500,000. So, you know, the process is one thing, and the rationale is another thing, and I just didn't want to get those two mixed up.
Yeah, and Chris and Joe, you can speak up on this too, because this was the memo that you had issued. Do you get feedback when you issue these, and do you get feedback from the board members and questions and comments?
Sometimes we do, but this time I don't recall receiving any feedback.
I would share that I did have a couple of conversations with board members who approached me in the office here and asked specific questions about the rationale for doing it and what would be the reasoning for making this type of move. We talked about it. I didn't have any follow-up conversations with them. I didn't get any calls or concerns from those board members.
And perhaps that would be an item, if any fellow board member wanted to add this as an item to discuss, probably go over to the HR committee for that, and you could contact Mr. Edlin with respect to discussing that process. Any other comments?
It just turned into a longer discussion than I intended. It was just to bring up a concern, and it wasn't meant to question. Yeah, I wasn't asking for a rationalization justification. It was about the process is all, and that's been answered, so.
Okay. Dr. Langell?
Yeah, I think your question was a good one, though, because as we go forward, the process and where we enter in as a board is a real crucial question for us to obviously stay on top of. And so the fact that you asked that question, Joe's answer extremely helpful, Chris's answer extremely helpful. So I'm glad you asked it, because it really demonstrates what this is all about, where it's going, either budgetary and or staffing concerns, and where they are with that. So I found it very helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just said if someone's feeling uncomfortable with that, they can bring that forth to the chair of our HR committee, and we could have a further discussion on that. Mr. Edlin?
As the chair of that committee, I'll just throw my personal feelings out there. You know, as a district, I think we run pretty lean in administration, and that's kind of our reputation as being pretty lean compared to a lot of other districts. And, you know, I've come to a certain comfort level with Todd in the way he runs our district in finances. So, you know, if I saw us in an area of abuse of having too many administrators in one area, and, you know, and it became something that became a topic amongst the community, then it would be an issue. But there's a certain level of trust that we place in our executives in the district to make decisions based on day-to-day operations. And you know, we're a board of directors, and, you know, we should be questioning everything they do, because that's our job, is to question what they do. But I'm not going to micromanage decisions that they make. I may question them, and I may not agree with them at times, and that's the way I'll vote one way or another. But, you know, Ms. Hedstrom has been probably the best HR director I think this district's ever had. And, you know, Mr. Cook's bringing on a whole nother level of expertise to the district, and his observations are a fresh set of eyes. So, you know, not everything we do is perfect. And, We all know that. We just go sometimes with the best decision that we make on the information we have. So, you know, I put my trust in the way the district is run at this point.
All right. Mr. Bryan?
Yeah, just one, I mean, look, administrative levels is always an issue. When we were doing budget cuts, I don't know how many times the people would say, cut central office, cut central office. So it's always an issue, whether it's, as I agree with Mr. Edlin, we've always been known to be a light, lean district, and I think we still are today. But no matter how light and lean we are, it's always an issue. And when we're dealing with, the situation we are today, which is post-Act 10, we have to be much more, which I say, cautious and much more assertive in interfacing with our staff and getting their, where are they at on all this? It's a better, more assertive way of doing things. I'm not saying that there's been any mistakes made here, but I think we need to be more like the private sector, where you value all your people and you get feedback from all your people as to their concerns and needs. And I think that we need to do a little bit better job at that.
Mrs. Reincheck?
Thank you. I was going to say something in a little while, but I can fit it in now since it works. When I saw all of these recommendations for new leadership positions, the first thing I thought of was the cost. And I know when we get our packets, the first thing Todd was saying was about Madison and about how we were facing $1 million shortfall this next year. And so I thought, if I was in my own family, if I was looking at some cuts that were coming or less income, I should say, I would first think if there was a need, I would say, well, is it a need or is it a luxury? Is it a necessity or is it a luxury? And then I thought of our leadership, and when Joe had outlined how much he was saving with these movements that he was making, that was helpful. One thing I wanted to suggest was not I forgot what you called it, Chris. It wasn't we weren't questioning what you were doing, the process.
The rationale, the process versus rationale.
Like in the paper, Lauren had made a nice little chart where this person is moving here and this person was moving here, and it was almost like I wanted that, and this was great to kind of go through the building principal assignments, but it would be great if we could see that chart, but then price tag. Well, this is saving us $500,000, but this is costing us. And when I think about luxury or necessity, if there are teachers that need extra help, if there are some that are needing the support, like when we talked about the IT help that we have, that's a necessity, because if they can't work these iPads, then there's not, I understand that it is a necessity is what I'm saying. I just wish that there was a price tag on the little chart for us.
Mr. Baumgart?
Could I suggest we would get back to the point
Motion on the floor?
on the floor?
Yeah, we do have a motion on the floor to approve Karen Peterson as the Director of Special Education. Are we ready to take that roll call vote? All right, Sue?
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Steve?
A little warm in here.
Thank you, heating and cooling man.
The next item that we have is the administration is recommending Jason Gahan. Am I saying that right, Chris? Gann, thank you. For the position of Director of Special Education Secondary. Mr. Gann is described as a dedicated professional with a strong work ethic. He understands the importance of strong relationships. He brings innovative ideas to the table and is honest above reproach. He shares truthful information with staff and parents that he's researched and thought through. The information is always based on what was best for the students. He was instrumental in bringing positive change to his former district. Mr. Gann is currently Director of Pupil Services at Cedar Grove Belgium School District. Prior to that, Jason was school psychologist at the Port Washington Saukville School District. Mr. Gahan received his master's degree, Master of Science Education Psychology, School Psychology from UW Milwaukee, and his Bachelor of Science Psychology and Sociology from UW La Crosse. Additionally, Jason has an Education Specialist degree from UW Milwaukee and is Director of Special Education and Pupil Services from UW Eau Claire. A confidential recommendation and resume was included in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. I move to approve the appointment of Jason Gahan to the position of Director of Special Education Secondary.
Second.
Discussion? All right, Sue, let's take the roll call vote.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Steve?
All right, we're not done yet. Item A4, approval of the recommended candidate for the position of principal at East High School and alternative programs. The administration is recommending Ryan Gallant for the position of principal of East High School and alternative programs. Ryan Gallant is a strong leader with great initiative. He has demonstrated quality leadership during the 2014-2015 school year, establishing himself as a collaborative leader of teaching staff and as a capable administrator. Ryan has been assistant principal at East High School since 2014. Prior to that, Ryan was an English teacher at Waukesha South High School since 2012. Mr. Gallant received a master's degree in educational and policy analysis from UW-Madison. He has a bachelor's degree in English and a post-baccalaureate degree in secondary English education. A confidential recommendation and resume was included in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. I move to approve the appointment of Ryan Gallant to the position of principal of East High School and alternative programs.
Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Okay, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue. Back to Steve.
Item A5, approval of the recommended candidate for the position of assistant principal for eAchieve Academy. The administration is recommending Jason Smith for the position of assistant principal of eAchieve Academy. Jason Smith has developed into a successful leader in his role as K-12 Grading for Learning Coordinator. Before this, he was district science coordinator who has a strong background with NGSS practices. His focus on professional development to our aligned by design work, curriculum, instruction, and assessment best practices are just some of his many single strengths. Jason brings a wealth of knowledge in the area of curriculum, instruction, and assessment best practices across all content areas. Jason has a good working knowledge of Danielson's domains and is cognizant of showing connections for teachers in his professional development work. His experiences working with larger groups of teacher teams and moving them across a change process using the Plan, Do, Study, Act model toward a shared vision brings him instant instructional credibility. Previous to his work as a teacher leader, Jason Smith worked at South High School as a science teacher from 1995 through 2014. He earned the Cole Teacher Fellowship Award in 2014. Mr. Smith earned his principal license following the Educational Leadership Program at Carroll University in May of 2015 and a master's degree in professional development from Cardinal Stritch University in 2002. He has a bachelor's degree in Broadfield Natural Science and Education with minors in biology, environmental education, and interpretation. He is a graduate of South High School. A confidential resume and a confidential recommendation and resume were included in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to middle management policies. I move to approve the appointment of Jason Smith for the position of assistant principal of eAchieve Academy.
Is there a second? Second by Dr. Langell. Discussion? Okay, Sue, please take the vote.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Steve?
And the last one I have is item A6, approval of the recommended candidate for position of principal at Hawthorne Elementary School, and this is a familiar name to most of us. The administration is recommending Christina Cook for the position of principal of Hawthorne Elementary School. Tina is an educational leader who continues to learn and evolve. Her talents come to the forefront in team settings, and she's able to stay focused on the primary vision while empowering the team to make decisions. Tina is passionate about STEM and has created a learning environment centered on application as a way to energize learning. Ms. Cook is currently serving as associate principal at Wauwatosa East High School. Previous to that, she served as an elementary teacher and teacher leader for the school district of Waukesha, first as a fourth grade teacher at Lowell Elementary, and then as a middle school teacher at Waukesha STEM Academy Saratoga campus. Tina graduated from Cardinal Stritch University with a BA in elementary education and a master's degree in school leadership from Carroll University. A confidential recommendation and resume were included in your packet. Salary and benefits will be according to the middle management policies. I move to approve the appointment of Christina Cook for the position of principal of Hawthorne Elementary School.
Second by Mr. Baumgart. Discussion? Just a quick, Mr. Baumgart?
I was just going to say, this is a real win back. She did marvelous work with us over at the STEM Academy, and she wanted to move on into something higher, and now she wants to come back into a great position here in Waukesha. So I'm excited about this.
And an important footnote included in our packet is no relationship to
Oh, yes.
Mr. Cook over here. So if you're listening out in the audience wondering,
That's it.
I thought I'd share that. All right, Sue, let's take the vote.
Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brusink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Steve Edlin.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0.
Mr. President, that concludes my long-winded report.
Congratulations to each of those people in their new leadership positions. We'll move on to our last committee report, and that's the Compensation Committee given by Ms. Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Como. We're recommending tonight to approve the wage increase for 214, 215 in the amount of 26 cents per hour, plus steps on the clerical and educational assistant salary schedule, and 20 cents per hour, plus steps on the custodial maintenance salary schedule. Retro increases back to July 1st of 214 will be paid out only to active employees as of June 10, 215, except those who retired this year. In addition, increases are not applied to staff that are in redlined positions, and I so move.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. O'Brien. Discussion? All right, Sue, let's take the roll call vote.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Ellen Langell.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Barbara Brusink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Steve Edlin.
Aye.
And Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Pat?
That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. That does conclude the end of the regular meeting. We do have a need for executive session, though. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Gray?
Yeah, I move we adjourn to executive session per Wisconsin statute 19.851C for the purpose of discussing 2015-16 EAW base wage negotiations.
Second.
Second by Mr. McCaffrey. Roll call vote on that. Sue?
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brusink.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Steve Edlin.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek. Aye. Ellen Langell. Aye. Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
And Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight, and we'll move immediately into executive session.